it's fun to talk about habits, and there's some great books out there, and it is the secret to making change and being aware of the habits you have and working on new ones. But I'm going to take a little different twist today. Is I see with a lot of owners, and I've experienced it myself in my own businesses before, if we can get into some destructive habits. You know, one is that workaholic habit, that busyness habit, that being busy and being full is kind of a badge of honor. You know, a lot of folks my generation, my age, we're taught that work ethic, and we kind of place our self-worth, identity often in the amount of work that we can do or that we're willing to do. But some bad habits can form around that. You want to be, again, part of being self-aware, what are your habits? But I want to give you a couple of examples. On a personal level, at a time I had a business that I bought out some partners, so we had equipment debt, I had to pay them off. I had another business that I split out of there that was going in. So I just got into a habit over a 3-year period of working all day, grabbing a bite to eat, going back and working then 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 in the evening. And but by doing that, some things got settled down, and and things. But I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I needed to do. Quite frankly, I did not realize it had become a habit. But one evening, like we would normally do, we went out to eat, my wife and son, and she dropped me back at the office, and the car was in the parking lot. And it was one of those divine moments. But anyway, I had my hand on the door, and I just had the strongest feeling of, you know what, I'm not going to work tonight. I'm going to go home and rest. And even though there was something big I needed to have done the next day, or I thought I needed to have done, but I listened to that little voice, and I went home. Well, about an hour and a half later, I got a call from the police because 3 burglars had literally come in through the roof of the business right beside my office that I sat in to knock out a hole in our wall that was next to a business that sold guns and rifles. And so they wiped out the art department wall, pulled as many guns and rifles through as they could, went back up through the roof and out. But, they might have just been robbers, but they were after guns. And it really sent a shiver down my spine of what if they would have dropped into that business and I'm sitting in my office, and would they have become more than robbers that night? I'm glad I didn't find out, but it did shake my world a little bit. And I was like, why was I there? And that's the moment I realized that I wasn't even there because I needed to be. I was only there because I had developed this habit of going home, getting supper, going back to the office. So maybe this will mean something to someone, mean something to you. I think we should look at all our habits, but that is a habit that you can realize. Also, too, the habit of overcoming from looking over the abyss. One of my clients, most extreme case, hadn't taken a vacation a full week in 30 years. I understand the long weekend thing because literally we were married for 16, 17 years before my wife convinced me to take a full week off. So I can't say a whole lot. That was a bad habit that I'm ashamed of. I have learned to get over it, and I enjoy them now, and it did for a long time. But what happened was that habit of, it took so much to get over and being on the edge with the business of, 6 months I could be out of the business, or 6 months I'm still in. But you do that for a decade or decade and a half, all of a sudden you have a great decade or decade and a half, and you don't even realize you're prosperous. You don't even realize how well you're doing. You're just kind of afraid if I leave the business, something's going to happen. That's a bad habit. But what are some habits that maybe you've done or are doing right now that you need to think about differently? Or do you have the habit of solving problems for everybody? They come to you and you're the answer person. you don't even realize, really found out in real honest moments with people, they kind of like being the dude or being the gal that everybody came to for the answers. And it does, there is a certain power of feeling to that, but it really is not healthy for your business. And so what happens is somebody challenged me one day, well, do you want to be the center of your universe, or do you want to be the master of your universe? So maybe that's your habit. I don't know. I've seen, maybe you've got a habit. I've seen the opposite. I've seen owners that, that they came in mid-morning when their business wasn't there yet. It wasn't time for them to come in mid-morning every day. And it set the wrong example. I think it's a good topic to think on, because we do want to have good habits and we want to create things that are going to help us be better leaders, but often we improve by just identifying the bad habits that we need to break. And the rule is you generally replace them with something good. So often to stop a bad habit, we need to create another good habit. But anyway, look forward to hearing your feedback on this and sharing some of your experiences, and hopefully this will be helpful. If you'd like more information or to communicate and work together on some things, check the link below. Thanks.